What's up, boys? I know this video might be a little bit late, but I have finally found one of the dumbest Elden Ring hate videos on YouTube, which was uploaded actually by Hiding in My Room, who has changed his channel name to Daniel and now does video game reviews. Now, for those who aren't familiar with Daniel from Hiding in My Room, he is a very odd person. He's been referred to as the Asian Onision, which is a name he's definitely earned.
There was this one time when this Japanese girl was sleeping on my shoulder, a complete stranger, and after she got up, I noticed there was this wet patch on my shoulder. She had drooled on my shoulder, there was saliva on my shoulder, and it was really arousing. I wasn't complaining though, I really enjoyed it, and she smelt amazing, especially the saliva.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
Now, this guy has made 4 videos about Elden Ring. One, his original review of the video, where he says that he hates the game and that you shouldn't buy it. His second video is about how he was wrong, and how it is a good game and you probably should buy it. And after that, he made 2 more videos where he talks about how he hates the game. Anyway, we're just gonna be looking at the original video. I don't really care enough to go through every single one of the videos he made.
So recently I've been playing Elden Ring, and as an avid fan of Dark Souls games and action-adventure games in general, I just had to play this game.
Oh guys, by the way, if his audio sounds like shit, I didn't do that. That's just the way his mic sounds. Also, if his video quality looks like shit, not my fault. Apparently some people can't record in 1080p in 2022.
Unfortunately, it's been pretty disappointing so far and very lackluster. If you're new to Dark Souls games, basically Dark Souls games pride themselves on the gameplay and the challenging gameplay and boss battles and how difficult they're supposed to be. And Elden Ring is no different. The gameplay can be extremely challenging, but not in a good way. The only reason it's challenging is because it's more frustrating than challenging. And that's mainly because the combat in the game is extremely unresponsive. Moving the main character around feels like moving an old man around.
How does the character move like an old man? I swear to God, if this guy's about to complain that the character's unresponsive, the controls are unresponsive because he tried to dodge mid attacking animation and it didn't dodge immediately.
It's kind of like every action you try to do in the game has this strange 1-second delay, and every time you want to do an attack or move or roll or dodge or parry, it just feels like there's a very noticeable delay and disconnect between pressing the button and having the character actually perform the movement.
This motherfucker. Okay, so I'm only gonna explain this once. There is no delay between you pressing a button and your character committing an action in Elden Ring. The thing is, and I've seen a lot of people play Elden Ring and complain about this, like Dr. Disrespect. It is, they attack, right? They press the melee attack button. And then they're like, oh no shit, actually I wanted to dodge. And then they start pressing the dodge button and the character doesn't immediately dodge because it's still in the attacking animation. In other third-person action games, you can do that. Characters will just break their attacking animation, like mid-animation, and dodge. But in Elden Ring, they won't do that. The character will only be able to commit a new action once the other action has been completely played out, which only takes like a couple of seconds, right? So this isn't a case of the game having bad controls or not being responsive. This is a case of you not understanding how to properly control the character in Elden Ring.
I found the melee combat to be very unsatisfying. For example, when you're fighting against some kind of melee enemy, he's obviously winding up to hit you and you press block thinking your character's gonna block when you press the block button, but instead there's like this weird delay and you end up getting hit in the face. You have no idea how many times I died in the game, not because I'm bad at the game, but just because the game is not smooth or fluid and the combat is extremely frustrating.
You know, it sounds like you're pretty fucking bad to me. I mean, you know, like, you literally start this video by saying you're a Dark Souls fan and you love the Souls games and shit. And now you're complaining that it's too difficult to block attacks. Like, I don't know, maybe your controller is just fucked or something. That there's actually like a huge delay. But, you know, the attacks from enemies in all Souls games, including Elden Ring, you can see them coming from like miles away, mate. And that's done on purpose so that you have enough time to, you know, dodge or block, you know. even with a delay, I feel like you should be able to block in time.
Now, I like to be mentally challenged in my video games just like any other hardcore gamer does.
Oh, you're mentally challenged, alright.
But when you're constantly losing in the game because of poor gameplay mechanics and poor game design, it just becomes, well, it's not fun anymore.
Bro, like, I thought you liked Souls-like games. Like, obviously, it's subjective, it's your opinion. You know, if you don't like the game or games being this challenging, fair enough, you know, other people do. But you literally opened the video by saying you're a Dark Souls fan and you're complaining that this game is too fucking difficult. Shut the fuck up.
I honestly don't feel like I'm having fun in the game. When I see enemies or mobs waiting around, I don't look at them with anticipation of having a fun combat exchange. I just think to myself, oh my god, I'm gonna get hit in the face again through no fault of my own.
Mate, I feel like that's just fucking how Souls games are. Because Souls games kind of make you very cautious before entering a battle. Because, you know, losing health and dying is fairly common in Souls games. Which apparently you're a giant fan of, so obviously you already knew all that shit. So I don't really understand why you're complaining about being scared of dying when entering into a battle in a Souls-like game. Because that's just the way the fucking games are.
The AI in the game is also pretty bad and poor. The enemies just kind of stand around circling around you waiting for you to make a move. I found it so easy to just walk around enemies and sneak up behind them when it should have been pretty obvious that they could have seen me.
Bro, like, didn't he 2 seconds ago say that whenever he saw enemies walking around, his first thought would be, oh shit, they're gonna kill me? Now when he sees them, they're boring because he can just walk around, sneak around them without them noticing? Yeah, of course you can do that. It would be pretty fucking annoying if the second you walk anywhere near an enemy, he would automatically aggro you. You know, like, especially in this game, where combat is very fucking difficult, it would be incredibly annoying if enemies would aggro you the second that you were anywhere near them.
So one of the things that sets Elden Ring apart from the previous Dark Souls games is the fact that it's open world. Now, I'm not really the biggest fan of open world. I feel like it's a very lazy gameplay mechanic that game devs implement when they don't really have any other better ideas.
I mean, it definitely can be. Like, just look at most Ubisoft and Rockstar games like Grand Theft Auto and Assassin's Creed. You have this giant open world with nothing in it. It's the most boring shit. But there are also games, you know, like The Witcher 3 or Breath of the Wild or Fallout New Vegas even, where you have this pretty large open world with a lot of fucking content, a lot of detail in it. And it's just enhances the gaming experience instead of taking away from it, like in a game like Grand Theft Auto 5.
And unfortunately, the open world in Elden Ring is just not very impressive. It looks quite pretty on a surface level, but then you realize that it's basically just a very empty and barren excuse of an open world.
My guy, if you think that the open world of Elden Ring is empty and barren, you clearly haven't played the game enough. There is plenty of content and secrets to find in the Elden Ring open world. Also, I only just noticed this, but the dude's sitting on the fucking floor while there is a perfectly good office chair right behind him. Like why? Like his microphone is also on the ground, so maybe that's why he's sitting on the ground. But then again, you could just put that shit on his desk. And I'm guessing he has a desk, because why else would you have an office chair if you don't have a desk? I mean, I guess if you're like fucking retarded, like this dude is, maybe at that point, you know, this makes sense.
Compared to other open world games such as The Witcher 3, which it is obviously trying to rip off, you can obviously see that it's taken a lot of inspiration from games such as Witcher 3, Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I just feel like The Witcher 3 has done a better job at being a gritty, dark RPG kind of fantasy adventure game than Elden Ring can ever hope to be.
Fucking bullshit, dude. Like, first of all, how the fuck is Elden Ring trying to rip off The Witcher 3 or Breath of the Wild? Like, yeah, it has a great open world, just like Witcher 3 and Breath of the Wild. The gameplay styles of all three games are completely different, so no, it's not at all a fucking ripoff. You must be genuinely mentally disabled to think something as ridiculous as that. Now, for The Witcher 3 being a better dark fantasy world than Elden Ring, I wouldn't really even call The Witcher 3 a dark fantasy world. It's just more like, I guess, a regular fantasy world, but whatever. That's a fucking opinion, so yeah, if you want to think that, that's fine, I guess.
The problem with Elden Ring is the fact that the story is very lackluster, and this is very disappointing when you consider the fact that they got George R.R. Martin, the author behind Game of Thrones, to come up with the story of Elden Ring.
No, he fucking didn't. I'm kind of getting sick of people saying that George R.R. Martin wrote the story of Elden Ring, because he just didn't. He wrote the lore, which means he created the world and like the setting, all that shit. You know, he didn't write the actual plot.
You'd think that he would be able to make something that's really interesting. Unfortunately, it just feels like a rip-off clone of Lord of the Rings.
Fucking how? How the fuck is Elden Ring's story a rip-off of Lord of the Rings? Please explain to me in detail so I can tell you exactly why you're wrong, and then afterwards ask you if your mother dropped you as a child. Are you mentally retarded, my guy?
For example, in The Witcher 3, I felt really interested in the story and the characters, and that made the open world and the setting and the scenes and the different towns and villages more interesting to be able to explore and find out about. I can't really say the same about Elden Ring. The main character doesn't even talk. He has no personality.
Yeah, it's called a silent blank slate protagonist, you know, like the protagonist of basically every Souls game ever created. You know, like Dark Souls, the game you claim to be such a fan of, has the exact same type of main character. Or did you forget somehow?
And I honestly didn't feel like I cared or wanted to find out about the world in Elden Ring or the characters or what's going on. I just feel like they did a very bad job at hooking the player in to be interested in the story. It shouldn't be my job as the player to want to become interested. It should be the job of the script writers to make me interested straight from the beginning.
Bro, has this guy like ever played a video game? Just in general in his entire life? Like, there is this thing, right, that video games can do storytelling-wise, that movies and books, well, movies maybe, but books definitely can't do, and that is environmental storytelling. Now, obviously, there is dialogue that explains some of the plot and some of the world to you, but a lot of it is also just, you have to find and figure out for yourself, which I like, because it makes me feel like I'm more like an adventure and actually exploring shit and figuring out more of the world. But if this guy just wants a game to tell him a story, in the most basic sense of the word, he should be playing something like Horizon Forbidden West, not Elden Ring.
Now, scattered throughout the world of Elden Ring, there are many bosses. There's mini bosses and there's bigger bosses, and just like how frustrating it is fighting the regular mobs, fighting these bosses is even more frustrating and annoying, mainly because of the size. Because of just how much bigger some of these bosses are than you, the camera just kind of goes crazy and starts spinning and flipping everywhere, and you're frantically trying to dodge and roll out of the way of the boss's attacks.
I feel like this guy probably just had a lot of problems trying to control this game, which is quite odd, you know, since he loves Souls-like games. But yeah, he just probably had problems controlling the game, got frustrated, stopped playing, and then made this video.
And the only way to learn each boss's attack patterns is by repeatedly dying over and over again until you finally memorize how the boss is going to act and behave and move. And I don't know about you, but I find this gameplay mechanic to be extremely frustrating.
That's literally how Souls games work. He just described boss fights in every single Souls game, and then said that he doesn't like it because it's frustrating. But at the same time, he claims to have played Dark Souls, and that he is a big Souls game fan. Like, shut the fuck up, man. Like, don't lie to me.
I don't really enjoy dying hundreds of times against one boss. I just want to attack it and maybe have a bit of a challenge, but I don't really want to have to be stuck on the same boss until I've memorized every single thing it's going to do.
Okay, so you just don't want to play Souls games then, which is fine, but then don't go out and complain about Souls games being the way they are.
Now, this wouldn't really be a problem if they had different difficulty modes. There's no easy mode, there's no medium mode, there's no hard mode. You just get one mode, and that is like the default mode.
Yeah, because it's, you know, a Souls game. Like honestly, that's just the answer to all of this fucking bullshit. It's a Souls game, man, and the guy who makes these games has come out and said that he doesn't want his games to have an easy mode. So what, you want to force him to, you know, give up his artistic integrity and his views on what his game should be so that you can feel good about yourself while playing a video game? Fuck off. No.
And as someone who gets really frustrated easily and gives up easily when things are too difficult, I just found myself not really wanting to play the game anymore because I was going to break something.
Oh no, man, please don't break something. You're obviously very strong, as I can tell from your incredible physique. Please don't break like a plate, I guess. Like, I don't know, like, what, I think that's like the most this guy could lift. It's like maybe a plate. But yeah, no, he gives up easily. So the reason this guy doesn't like Elden Ring is because it's too hard and he gives up easily. That's his entire reasoning for why he doesn't like Elden Ring. The game is too hard and I give up really easily. Yeah, mate, that's great criticism. Anyway, boys, this is the end of the video. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.